The police showed up at his door one evening, and the first thing that ran through his mind was confusion, because the last thing he expected to see when he opened that door was two officers standing there asking about his wife and children. Listen, some people say church is the safest place you can meet good people, but sometimes the place where you expect to find angels is exactly where you meet your greatest pain. And the man in this story learned that the hard way. The police knocked on his door one evening, a knock that makes your heart drop in your stomach before you even open it. He opened the door slowly. Two officers stood there. "Sir, we received a report that you've been harassing your wife and children." For a moment, he just stared at them, confused, then hurt, then confused again. Because the truth was, he hadn't spoken to his wife in almost 6 months. "Officer, are you sure you have the right person?" he asked quietly. The officer looked at his notes. "Are you Mr. James?" "Yes." "Well, your wife says you've been bothering her and the children constantly." The man sighed. "Officer, can I show you my phone?" He opened his messages, scrolled, then scrolled again. The last message between them sat there like a dry leaf, 6 months old. No calls, no texts, nothing. The officers looked at each other. One of them shook his head slowly. "Sir, stay here a moment." They stepped aside and called her, and when she answered, the officer's tone changed. "Ma'am, filing false reports and wasting police time is illegal." Silence. "You need to stop this immediately." When the call ended, the officer looked back at him. "You all right, sir?" The man forced a smile. "Yes, officer, I'm all right." But he wasn't, because the person who sent the police to his door was the same woman who used to shout, "Hallelujah!" the loudest in church. That's the part nobody understands, because if you saw her in church, you would think she was the holiest woman alive. She spoke in tongues. She danced in the spirit. She would fall on the ground during service. Sometimes the whole congregation would gather around her while she was in the spirit. Hands lifted, eyes closed, voice shaking. You know the kind. The kind everybody assumes must be very close to God. But what people saw on Sunday and what lived inside that house Monday to Saturday were two completely different people. Her husband was nothing like her. He was the quiet type, yet firm. A disciplinarian and a genuine person, easy to talk to. The elders loved him. Community people loved him. If someone needed help fixing something, they called him. If someone needed someone to listen, they called him. He was that kind of man. Patient. The kind of person who would rather take pain than create it. Which is probably why he endured that marriage for so long. The argument started small, then slowly turned into something else. She liked control. Everything had to be her way, and if it wasn't, there would be a problem. Not quiet disagreements, no, public explosions. And the children were always there to watch it. She had a way of twisting things too. She would provoke him, push him, insult him, and the moment he responded even slightly, she would raise her voice so the children could hear. "You see your father? Look how he treats me!" The children were young. They didn't understand manipulation. They only saw what their mother showed them. Then something worse started happening. She began planting poison, little by little. "You know your father doesn't really care about you. Your father is selfish. Your father doesn't want to be here." She said these things when he wasn't around. And slowly, the children started pulling away from him. The man noticed, but he kept telling himself, "Be patient. They're children. They will understand one day." But the house became unbearable. Arguments every week, sometimes every day, until one night he sat on the edge of the bed and realized something painful. If he stayed, he was going to lose his mind. So he made the hardest decision of his life. He left. Not because he didn't love his children, but because sometimes you have to step away from the fire before it burns you alive. At first, he still visited them. He missed them too much not to. But that's when the manipulation changed, because now she had a new way to control him. Every time he wanted to see the children, she would make a condition. If you want to come here, we have to be intimate. Now remember, they were still legally married, so technically she was his wife. But it wasn't love, it was control, a bargaining chip, and the man knew it. But sometimes his heart for his children was stronger than his pride, so he endured it, just to spend a few hours with them, until one day he realized something. He wasn't visiting his children, he was negotiating for access to them, and that broke something inside him, so he stopped playing the game. The next time he called to visit, she said, "Well, if you're not coming to be my husband, then don't bother coming." He said, "I just want to see the children." She, "Then stay where you are." Sometimes he would still drive by the house, just hoping. But the doors would be locked, curtains closed, and the children wouldn't even know he was outside. Eventually, he stopped trying. Not because he stopped loving them, but because the humiliation was destroying him. Then came the police report, the lies, the accusations. Even the church got involved, because she told the pastor stories. Stories that made him look like a monster, all while she was still in spirit. And since he had stopped attending church, he wasn't there to defend himself. People started, "Something must be wrong with him. Why would she say those things?" He didn't fight back. He simply left the church quietly. Because sometimes defending yourself to people who already believe lies is a battle you cannot win. But nothing hurt like the phone call from his daughter. That was the day his heart truly broke. The phone rang. He answered. "Hello?" And the voice on the other end exploded. "You are a wicked man. You abandoned us. You are a terrible father." For a moment, he couldn't even speak. Because this was the same little girl who used to run and jump into his arms. "Daddy!" Now she was cursing him, repeating words she didn't even fully understand. When she finished shouting, there was silence, and the man finally, "Baby, I love you." She hung up. That night he cried, a grown man, crying alone. Because there are pains that don't break your bones, they break your spirit. But he did the only thing he knew how to do. He prayed, "God, help me let them go for now." Because sometimes the only way to survive is to release what you cannot fix. Years have passed. He still sends money for the children, not because their mother asks, but because they are still his children. She still contacts him occasionally, only when money is involved, never to apologize, never to make peace. But the man has learned something important. Peace is sometimes found in distance, because not everybody who destroys you uses knives or guns. Some people destroy you slowly, with manipulation, with lies, with emotional warfare, until your mind becomes the battlefield. Today, he is living quietly. He has rebuilt his life. Again. He sleeps peacefully again. And he still hopes that one day, his children will see the truth. Because time has a way of revealing what manipulation tries to hide. So remember this. Not every loud worshiper is a good person. Not every quiet person is guilty. And sometimes, the place where you expected to meet saints is exactly where you meet your greatest test. But even in all that pain, God still knows the truth. And sometimes, when the truth finally comes out, hypocrisy still refuses to admit it was wrong. Because if you saw her in church, hands lifted, speaking in tongues, you would swear she was the holiest woman alive. But the man who lived with her knew a different person. So let nobody fool you. These kinds of wives exist, right inside the church. Choose wisely, brothers. Take it from me. Because sometimes, you see the person shouting, "Hallelujah," the loudest in church, is the same person making someone cry the loudest at home. Remember, this is a lesson. Thank you listening.
Subscribe. Please subscribe.